Facebook, not in HD though, I don't think. Okay. So on our sagittal section of the brain, we have pinching spinal cord, index finger traversing over medulla oblongata, over pons, into midbrain's cerebral peduncles, thumb traversing around the circumference of the cerebellum, going up the transverse fissure to end up touching the corpora quadrigemini with its superior colliculi, its inferior colliculi, the two sets of twins that make four bodies, midbrain peduncles, corpora quadrigemini. Superior to it is going to be the forebrain with the diencephalon having the thalamus here in sagittal section, so the darker stem handle of the barbell, intermediate mass connecting to the thalamic nuclei, which is pushed back into the hemisphere. Below it and anterior to it in a V section is going to take and be the hypothalamus that would be connected. Inferior to it would be the infundibulum, the connecting stalk to the endocrine structure of the pituitary gland, HIP. Above it would be the telencephalon with your gray matter cerebral cortex arranged in a thin layer like pie crust to a pie, and deeper to that would be white matter, but connecting the two hemispheres side to side would take and be the corpus callosum, very tight, packed, white fibers going and connecting like bridge from one side of the hemisphere to the other. Underneath the corpus callosum, back in the hemisphere, is the lateral ventricle. Other hemisphere will have the other lateral ventricle. The third ventricle flows around the intermediate mass. So the walls of the third ventricle are made up by the two halves of the barbell, the thalamus. The fourth ventricle is here at the base of the cerebellum. Frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe, temporal lobe. Frontal lobe is separated from parietal lobe by a central sulcus or fissure. Two prominent folds would be, for the frontal lobe, a precentral gyrus. For the posterior lobe, a postcentral gyrus. Precentral gyrus of the frontal lobe is a primary motor area. For the postcentral gyrus, it is a general sensory or primary somatosensory area. At the rear of the brain, the occipital lobe is going to be possessing a primary visual area and also a visual association area, while the temporal lobe will contain a primary auditory area and an auditory association area.